Hey guys, let me make a tutorial on how to create custom blocks for Minecraft Bedrock Edition or Pocket Edition. In this tutorial, I'll show you a few examples of some of the blocks you can make. So for this first example, I'm going to show you how to create a block similar to this one that looks just like a regular block, but with a custom texture. And for the second example, I'll show you how you can create a block that has a custom geometry like this one. And I will also show you how you can edit the components. So if you want to change this loot, so just an example, if I break this one just dropped apples. And if I break this one just drops random loot. I'll also show you how you could give your block rotation. So depending on which way you're facing, whenever you place it will place in a different direction. And I will also show you how you can fix some of the issues that you might have when creating blocks. One of the things I will show you how to fix is how to fix your block if it looks like a dirt block. I will show you some of the things that you can do to fix it. And for this tutorial, I'll be doing everything on a mobile device. So this does work on Android, iOS, or if you're on a computer, this will also work. They're all the exact same method. And let me show you how all this is done. First, I'm going to show you what you need to create a regular block that does not have a custom geometry. And then I'll show you what you need to create a block that does have a custom geometry. And if you're trying to create just a regular block, all you're going to need is a texture for your block. And for this, you could use any program or app that you like to create your texture. For me, I'm going to be using Blockbench. If you guys don't know how to download and use Blockbench, I already made a tutorial about that. I'll leave a link for that in the description. So if you're using Blockbench, if you want to create just a regular block, you could go here where it says Minecraft skin. And for the first option, you just want to select your model. So change it from Steve and select this one that says block. And then select the resolution. Here you could choose any of these. Doesn't really matter which one you use. The higher the resolution, the more detail that you could give your block. For me, I'm just going to be using this one that says 16. But you can select whichever one you like and then just hit confirm. Once you do that, you should see a block model. And here you could draw directly on this block. So you could create your texture directly on this block here. Another option you get if you go on the right side and select this option here. You also get this. You could also draw here. And since all the faces of the block share the same texture, whatever you draw on one of them will be drawn on all of them. But like I said, I already made a tutorial about this, so I'm not going to show you how to use Blockbench. Here I'm just going to create my texture. And this is the texture that I created. Once you finish creating your texture, to save your texture, all you want to do is go here on the right side and select this option. This might be on the left side depending on what device you're using. The first thing I would recommend doing is just changing the name of your texture. So I'm just going to select it, hit properties, and then here you can change the name. So here I'm just going to rename it. And I called mine example 1, but you can name this whatever you like. So I'm just going to hit confirm. And then to save it again, just select it and then hit save as. And it should download automatically into your downloads folder. So if you're doing this on a mobile device, this will download into your downloads folder. And that's all you're going to need for a regular block. And now let me show you what you need for a block with a custom geometry. To create a block with a custom geometry, for this I'm going to be using Blockbench. And here in these options, you want to select this one that says Bedrock model. Make sure you select this one because the other ones will not work. And first you want to give your model a name. Here you can name it whatever you want. For the second option, you just want to give your model an identifier. This can also be whatever you choose. And for me, I called it the exact same thing. I named it up here. And for the model identifier, you want to make sure you don't use any capital letters, just lowercase. And instead of spaces, use underscores. And for the third option, you want to select your UV mode. Here you get two options, box UV or per face UV. I prefer using the one that's called per face UV. This will make it a lot easier to edit your model later. And for the texture size, you can leave it like that. It doesn't really matter. You can change it later on and then just hit confirm. Once you've done all that, then you just want to create your model. Like I said, I already made a tutorial about this, so I'm not going to be explaining how to create a model here. So I'm just going to create my own model now. And this is the model that I created, but there is a few important things that I wanted to mention. The first thing is that after version 1.18.10, any model that you use for your block has to be smaller than a 16 by 16 by 16 pixels. If it's bigger than that, then it will just show up like a third block inside of the game. So whatever model that you make for your blocks, this is only for blocks. Make sure that if it's within this grid, this is a 16 by 16 grid. And same thing for the height, you want to make sure it's not bigger than 16. And if you do want to use a bigger model for your blocks, there is a few different options. The first option is that there is an add-on that you can download that will fix the geometries in game. That is a separate add-on, but if you want to do that, I'll leave a link for that in the description. The second option is that you could create your block in different sections and then just join it inside of the game. And if for some reason you create your block block bigger than a 16 by 16. Another option that you get is that you can go here and select the folder that has all your blocks inside of them, and then go here where it says transform and then scale. And here you can change the size of your model, make it bigger or smaller, whatever you want. So if it's just a little bit bigger, you can just make it a bit smaller. You could also just change it in a specific direction. So if you choose Y, this will be up and down. So here you could change the size, so you can make it taller or smaller. But you could also do the same thing for the X. So if you want to make it a bit wider on the X or smaller, you could also do this. Same thing for the C. But my block is smaller than a regular block, so I don't have to do any of that. And the last thing I want to mention, this is only for blocks too, is that if you create your custom geometry and one of your bones is kind of leaning towards one side, like this block here is leaning a little bit towards the left side, and this one here is also leaning towards this side. Once you add this into the game, if it has a rotation like similar to this, sometimes it will not render incorrectly inside of the game, and might render this like all the way over here. If you're having this issue, what you could do is go here where it says file, and then go to plugins, and then go to this section that says available. And you want to look for this plugin that's called Bedrock Pivot Fix 2, and you want to install this, so just click here where it says install. If you installed it correctly, it should be in this section now where it says installed. And then all you have to do is just close this, and then go here where it says tools, select this one that says fix Bedrock pivots, and all you do is click on that, and that will fix your model inside of the game. So this is only if you're having that issue where it's rendering your block incorrectly inside of the game. And to import your model inside of the game, it's very simple. To export your geometry, all you have to do is go here where it says file and then export, and you want to select this one that says export Bedrock geometry. Make sure you select this one, or the other ones will not work. Once you do that, this will also download it automatically if you're on a mobile device. Most of the time it just saves it into your downloads folder too. And if you're on a computer, then you just have to select what folder you want to save it to. Just make sure you remember where you save it. And then you also want to save your texture, so you just want to go here and select this option. And if you're doing this on a computer, it might be on the left side. So to save your texture, all you want to do is just click on this icon and it should save it. So I'm just going to click here, and this downloaded automatically too. Like I said, this will probably be in your downloads folder. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Now let me show you create your add-on so you could add this into the game. To add your blocks into the game, you just want to create an add-on. For this, I'm going to be using Bridge v2. If you guys don't know how to download and use Bridge, I also made a video about this. I'll leave a link for that in the description. Here, I'm not going to be explaining too much. So once you have Bridge open, you just want to create a new project. So I'm just going to select here. And then I'm going to select here where it says new project. And for blocks, you're going to need a behavior pack and a resource pack. So make sure both of these are active. Then you just want to go down and go here where it says experimental gameplay. And you want to make sure that this one is activated, the one that's called holiday creator features. Once you do that, then you want to go down again. And here you just want to fill all this in. Like I said, I already explained how to do this on a separate video, so I'm not going to explain it. Once you fill that in, then you just want to click here where it says create. And this will create a behavior pack and a resource pack and some of the folders and files that you're going to need. So this red one will be the behavior pack and this blue one will be the resource pack. And first I'm going to show you how to add the regular block into the game, and then I'll show you how to add the block with a custom geometry. So to add a regular block, you just want to go here where these three dots are at and select new file. And here you get a few different options, but if any of these options are not showing up, you just want to click on this and this will show the rest of the options. So to add a block, you just want to go here where it says block, and here it gives you a few different presets for creating blocks. If you want to create a blank block, a custom block with a geometry, an or a slab. And for the first example, I'm just going to be creating a regular block, so I'm just going to click here where it says blank block. For the first option, you just want to select what texture you want to use for your block. So I'm just going to click on this, and here just select whatever image you want for your block. This is the one that I made in the first step inside of Blockbench. So I'm just going to select this one and hit done. And this added the image. And then you want to give your block an identifier. Here you can name your identifier whatever you want. I just called it example 1, and here you want to make sure you don't use any uppercase letters or any spaces, or it will give you an error. And then you want to give your block a display name. Here you can call it whatever you want. I usually just call it the same thing I called it up here, but here you are able to use uppercase letters and spaces, so you can name this whatever you want here. Once you finish doing that, you click here where it says create, and this created a few of the files and folders that you're going to need inside of your behavior pack and inside of the resource pack. So if I go here in the behavior pack, which will be this one, and go here where it says block, these are the behaviors from my block. And with this file, you can change how the block behaves. I'll show you how to edit that right now. And if you go into the resource packs, here inside of the textures folder, it created another folder called blocks. And this is where it saved your custom texture. So if I click on this one, this is the texture I created for my block. And that's pretty much all you have to do if you're creating just a regular block. But like I said, I'll show you how to edit it right now. But now let me show you how you can add a block that has a custom geometry. To do that, it's going to be very similar. Just want to go here where these three dots are at. Click new file. Then you want to go here where it says block and select this one that says custom geometry block. And this will be very similar. You just want to give it an identifier first. This is what I chose as an identifier, but you can change this to whatever you want and then just give it a display name. And for the third option, this is where you choose what model your block is going to use. So I'm just going to select this one. If you're doing this on a mobile device, you might have to select the file explorer. So I'm just going to select this one here. And here you just want to select the model that you created, and usually it has the name of your model, and then it says .geo. So this is how you know which one your model is. This is how you can find your model. So for me, I'm just going to select this one. And something important I want to mention is sometimes if you're doing this on a mobile device, whenever you save your geometry, sometimes here where it says .json, sometimes at the end it will say .txt. If it says .txt at the end, you want to make sure you remove the txt, so it just says .json. But you have to do this before you import it into Bridge. So you want to get a file export and change the name and make sure that it doesn't say txt or it will not work. And for the last option, you just want to select what texture you're going to use for this block. So I'm just going to click here, and for me this is the texture that I created for my custom model, so I'm just going to select this one. And once you finish doing that, you just want to click here where it says create, and same thing again. If I go into the behavior pack, if I go into this blocks folder, here I added the behaviors for the second block, the one that has a custom geometry, and like I said, I'll show you how to edit this right now. And if I go into the resource pack, same thing again, but this one created a folder called models and then blocks, and this is where it saved the custom geometry. So if you're looking for it, if you want to edit it or anything, this is where you can find the model. And same thing again, if I go into the textures folder and then blocks, this is where I saved the texture for the second block that I made. So if I click on this one, this is the texture that I made. So same thing again, if you wanted to edit that's where you can find it. And if you wanted to, you could already import this add-on into the game and the blocks will be showing up. But let me show you what will happen if you import it right now. And these are the blocks that I created. This is the regular block, and this is the block with a custom geometry. And right now I haven't edited any of the components, but right now I'll show you how to do this. So if I break this block right now, it just drops the same block again because I haven't changed the loot tables. But I'll show you how you can make it so it drops a custom item and a few other things that you could change. And same thing for this block with the custom geometry. Right now, if I break this one, it will just drop this exact same block again. But for this one, there's a few other things that you could change, like the entity and pick collision. The pick collision is just used to interact with your block. So if I try breaking this block right now, I'm not able to break it because I haven't adjusted the pick collision. Just an example, this flower here, the pick collision would be this black box surrounding it. And I'll show you how you can change the size of this for your own custom block. And I'll also show you how to change the entity collision, which just makes your block solid for entities. So right now, if I try walking through this block, I'm just able to walk through this since I also haven't edited the entity collision. But I also, like I said, I'll also show you how to change that and how to add a few other different components to your blocks. And to do this is very simple. All you want to do is just go back to Bridge, and to add components to your blocks is very simple. You just want to go here where it says behavior packs, and then go to this folder that says blocks and select what block you want to add components to. First, I'm going to select the regular block, the one that doesn't have a custom geometry. So I'm just going to select this file. Once you have your file open, you just want to go here where it says Minecraft block, then go here where it says components, and Bridge already added some components to this block. So if I go here where it says material instances, this just specifies what texture this block is going to use. So here where it says texture, then it specifies that it's going to use this texture here. But if you wanted to add more components, you just want to go here where it says components, and then you want to go down here where it says add, and here you get a list of all the components that you could add to your custom block. And most of these components have a name that kind of explains what they do. But if you don't know what any of these do, what you could do is go to this website, and this is the website, which is called bedrock.dev. I'll leave a link for this in the description too. Once you're here, you want to go here where it says blocks, and then go here where it says block components, and here you will get a list of all the components that you could add into the game. So this is the name, and you also get a description of what all of these do and how you can edit them. And it also tells you what type of value that you can give to that component. So just an example, this one that's called Minecraft Destroy Time, this will be the name of the component. And here it tells me what this component will do. So this one just sets the destroy time, how long it's going to take to destroy this block. And it also tells me what kind of value I could give it. So if you have any doubts, you could just look here. And here I'm just going to show you a few of the components that I like adding to my block. So I'm going to select this one that says components. And the first one that I'm going to add is this one called Minecraft Creative Category. So I'm just going to select this one. And what this component will do is it will add your block into the creative inventory. So once you have this one selected, you want to go here where it says add, and go here where it says category, and then click here again where it says add. And then here you could select what category you want to add your block to: nature, construction, items, equipment, or any other category that you like. I'm just going to add mine to the construction category. And another component that I like adding, so with this component selected, the one that I like adding is Minecraft light emission. This will make it so your block emits light. And with this one selected, you could also just go here and give it a value. The higher the value, the more light it's going to produce. So here I'm just going to set this to a 1, but you can set this to whatever you like. If it's not bright enough, then just make it higher. And if it's too bright, then just select a lower number. And if you wanted to change the loot table for this block, what you could do is same thing again, just go here where it says components and look for this component, which is called Minecraft loot. And here you get for this one, you get a few different options. You can select one of the loot tables that are in the game already. So for the chest or for the entities. So you could add the loot tables to this block, or you could also create your own custom loot table. And let me show you a quick example of how you can create your own loot table. This isn't going to be very detailed. I'm just going to show you a very simple example. So if you wanted to create your own loot table, you go here where these three dots are at. You want to click new file, and then you want to go here where it says simple files. And you want to look for this one that's called loot tables. And then you just want to give your loot table a name. You can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it loot 1. And then hit create. And then you want to open up this one that says pools. Then open this and go here where it says entries. And with the entry selected, you want to select here where it says type. And then you select what type of loot you want it to spawn. So item, loot tables, or empty. So here I'm just going to select item. And then go here again where it says add, and then select name. And then here you can select what item it drops. So if you created your own custom item, you could select it here, or you could also just select one of the items that are already in the game. So for me, just as an example, I want to make it so whenever I break that block, it drops apple. So I'm just going to select this one that says apple. And then I'm going to adjust how many of this item it drops. So for this, I'm going to go here where it says this one, and I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to select here where it says rolls, and here you can give it a minimum value. So I'm just going to set this to 1, but you can set this to whatever you want. And you could also select a max. So here I'm just going to set this to 5. So right now it's going to select this item between 1 and 5 times. So whenever I break that block, and there is a better way to do this. This is just a really quick example. Like I said, I'll make a more detailed tutorial about this in another video. This is just an example. So once you do that, you just want to save it. So go here where it says file, and then save file, and then you can just close it. You're not going to need this anymore. And then here where it says Minecraft loot, the loot table that I just created should be showing up here, which is this one. I named it loot 1, so I'm just going to select it. And these are all the components that I'm going to add for the first block. So here I'm just going to save this file. So file and then save file, and then you can close it. You're not going to need this anymore. And then I also want to add some components to the second block that I made. So I'm just going to select this file. And same thing again, go here where it says Minecraft block, and go here where it says components. And here, this one already has a few different components too. The first component, this one just specifies what geometry it's gonna use for this block. And if you're using Bridge, Bridge already added the geometry and the textures, so you don't have to worry about that. And the second one is here where it says material instances. This is the one that specifies what texture it's gonna use. And this one also has the components for the pick collision and the entity collision. Like I said, the pick collision is just used to interact with your block. So if you want to break it or pick block it, that you use the pick collision. And for the entity collision, that's just what makes your block solid for entities. For the entity collision and the pick collision, you got to give it an origin. So the origin is where the collision is going to start from, and the size is what size the collision is going to be. And for both of these, you want to give it an X, a Y, and a Z value. Like I said, same thing for the size. And if you don't know how to get your origin and your size, let me show you the easiest way that you can get the origin and the size for your block. So first, I'm going to show you how you can adjust the entity collision, but the entity and the pick collision are pretty much the exact same thing. So first, I'm going to show you how you can get the origin and the size for your entity collision, but it will be the exact same process for the pick collision. So to get the origin, like I said, the origin is just where your collision is going to start from. You want to open up Blockbench, and everything I'm going to be doing here is just temporary. Whatever I add here, I'm just going to delete it and not save it. So for me, the way that I get the origin is just by adding a temporary queue. And you want to move this to the lowest right side of your custom model. And so first you just look for the sand and then just move it to the lowest right side. So for me, I'm just going to move it to this position. But for your block, it's going to be different. So this is where the collision is going to start from. And to get the values, you want to go here where it says position. And for me, it's going to be -7, 0, and then -4. And depending on what device you're using, this might show up on the right side, or it might show up here, or it might also show it down here. So I'm just going to go back to Bridge and go here where it says origin. And for me, it's going to be -7 for the first number. The second number is 0, and then for the last number is -4. So I'm just going to switch this to a -4. And that's all you have to do for the origin. And then for the size, you want to select this tool, the one that says resize. And for this, you want to resize your block on the X, the Y, and the Z. So first it's going to be the X, which will be this red line. So I'm just going to resize it until it covers the whole block. So here it covers the whole block on the X. Then you want to do the same thing for the Y, which will be the height. And you just want to move it until it covers your whole block. And for the last one, you also want to adjust it on the Z. So you're just going to move it until it covers the whole block on the Z. And once you've done that, these are the numbers you want to add to your size. So for me, it's going to be 13, 15, and 11. And like I said, this might also just show it up here, depending on your device. So I'm just going to go back into Bridge, go here where it says size. And for me, it's 13, 15, 11. So 13 for the first number, 15 on the Y, and then 11 on the Z. And that's pretty much all you have to do to adjust the entity collision. And that's pretty much all you have to do for the entity collision. But another option that you get for the entity collision is that you can also set the entity collision to true or false. If you set it to false, this will make it so it doesn't have an entity collision, so you can just walk right through it. This will be similar to plants. So most of the plants inside of Minecraft, they don't have a collision, so you can just walk right through them. To do this, what you could do is just delete the origin and the size, and then select here where it says entity collision and set this to either true or false. So if you don't want it to have a collision, you can set this to false. But this is optional, you don't have to do this. I'm gonna make it so my block does have an entity collision, so I'm just gonna keep the origin and the size. And for the pick collision, it would be the exact same thing. You could also set it to true or false. If you set the pick collision to false, you will not be able to interact with this block, so you will not be able to break it or anything. So I would not recommend setting this to false, but that is up to you. And for this one, like I said, you also have to adjust the origin and the size. But for me, I want to make it so the pick collision is the same as the entity collision. So what I could do is just delete this one that says origin and the one that says size. And I want my entity collision to be the same as my pick collision, so I'm just gonna copy the origin and then paste it where it says pick collision. And same thing for the size, I'm just gonna copy it and then paste it here. So right now these two will have the exact same value, but you could change these around however you like. And another component that I'm gonna add to this block is that I also want to add it to the creative inventory. So I'm just gonna add the Minecraft creative category component and select the category for this block. I'm also just gonna set this to construction, but you can set this to whatever you like. Another thing that I would recommend adding is this one that's called Minecraft block light absorption. So this one is used to remove the shadow. So if your block is looking too dark, what you could do is add this component and then just give it a high value, and this will remove the shadows from it. But I also want this one to emit light, so I'm also gonna add this one that's called Minecraft block light emission. And here you can just set whatever value you want. I'm gonna set this, I'm just gonna give it this value, but you choose whatever you like. And if you wanted to give your block rotation, Bridge makes this very simple. So the easiest way to add rotation to your block, to do this is very simple. You just want to go here where it says extensions, and you want to go here where it says components and look for this one that's called simple block rotation, and you just want to hit download. And it gives you two different options. You can install it globally or you can install it locally. Locally will just install it to this project, and globally will install it to all your projects. For me, I usually just pick this one that says install globally because I usually use this on all my projects. But you choose whichever one you want, and then it's just gonna download. Once that finishes downloading, if you try adding the custom rotation component, it might not show up. So what you want to do is just close and restart Bridge. So once you restart your Bridge, you want to go here again into your behavior pack, go into your blocks and select what block you want to add. You want to add the rotations to. So I'm going to go here where it says Minecraft block and then components, and then go down here where it says add and look for rotate. And here you get a few different options for the rotation. You can make it rotate like a log. So if you want your block to rotate similar to a log, you can select this one. But the one I like using is this one that says rotate Y on place. So I'm just going to select this one. And that's pretty much all you have to do to add rotation to your block. But if you're having an issue whenever you place it and it's placing it backwards, what you could do is with this one selected, you want to go here where it says add, go here where it says flip, and then change this to true. This is only if it's placing it backwards. This will make it so it places the opposite direction. And for this block, I'm also going to change its loot table. So I'm just going to click here where it says components and look for loot and select this component. And then here, like I said, you could create your own custom loot table. I already showed you how to do that, or you could just select any of the ones that are already created. And for this block, I'm just going to make it drop the same loot that you get from the NCD treasure. So I'm just going to select this one, but you can select whichever one you like. And these are all the components that I'm going to add to my block, but you can keep adding different components to yours. So here I'm just going to save. So I'm going to go here where it says file and then save file. And to import this into your game, it's very simple. You just want to go here where it says more, and here you get a few different options. So if you're still going to keep working on your project, I would recommend saving it as a bridge project. That way you don't lose any of your progress. You only have to do this if you're on a mobile device. If you're on a computer, you don't really have to worry about this. But if you want to import it into your game, you want to click here where it says export as MC add-on. So you just want to click here. Once that finishes, you should see this green button on the left side, and you just want to click on it, and that will instantly download it into your downloads folder. And then you can just install it on whatever device you like or share it with someone else. And in this video, I'm not going to show you how to install this into your game since it is different for almost every device. And if you're doing this on a mobile device, something important I wanted to mention is that whenever it's saved, sometimes it will save with a .txt at the end. If it does that, then you want to use a file explorer to remove the .txt and just leave it as a .nc add-on, and you should be able to install that into your game. Now let me show you how this will look inside of the game with all the components that I added. So once you've installed your add-on into your game, the first thing you want to do is go here where it says play, and then you just want to select whatever world you want to install your add-on to, or you could also just create a new world. Here I'm just going to activate it on an already existing world, so I'm just going to go here on the world settings, and the first thing you want to do is go here where it says game, then go down and look for this one that says experiments, and make sure you have this one activated, the one that says holiday creator features. You want to make sure you have this one activated or it will not work. You could also try activating the rest of these if it's not working for you. And once you have that activated, you want to go into your behavior packs, and you want to make sure you activate your behavior pack on the world you want to play this on. And same thing for the resource packs, you want to make sure it's activated. Once you've done that, then you just want to start your world. Once your world loaded, there's a few ways that you could get your block. The first one is just in the creative inventory. So here I'm just going to open up the creative inventory, and I added mine to the construction, so mine are here. You could also just search for it. The second option is that you can give yourself the blocks using a command, which will be the give command. So you just want to type in give and then add is, and then the name of your block. For me, first time my namespace is just Boney, but yours will be different. And then the name of the block, the first block I made is just called example1, and then the amount, however many of those blocks you want. So I'm just gonna put 64 here, and I'm also gonna give myself the second block. So for me, this is the name of my block, yours will be different. And this is the first block I made, so this one is just a regular looking block, but I also changed its loot table, so whenever I break this, it drops apples because that's the item I specified. And this is the second block that I made, so this one I made it so it rotates whenever I place it. And I also changed its entity and pick collision, so the pick collision will be this black outline around this block. So anywhere inside of this box, whenever I interact with this block, I'll be able to break it. So here, if I click it, it dropped all this loot. And I also adjusted the entity collisions, so now it's solid and I'm able to step on it. And I changed the entity collision so it's the exact same height as the block. And the last change I made to this block is that it emits light. I also made the first block emit light. This one is a bit brighter than the second one. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any problems, just let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can help you. And I'll be making a second part to this video where I'll show you how to do some more advanced things.